Aló, ¿cómo estás? Sí, te estoy extrañando. Hoy para mi clase de inmigración fuimos a este instituto de arte donde hubo una presentación que se llamaba Cuando todo esto termine y fue interactivo. Entonces con mi clase hicimos estas flores que fueron hechas de periódico con las noticias y cada pétalo tenía diferentes como palabras y yo estaba haciendo mi flor y fue muy especial porque uno de los pétalos tenía la palabra Ecuador y obviamente me recordó mucho de ustedes, de toda la familia y de todas las cosas que han pasado y cada uno hizo su flor y pudo contribuir a una pared de flores. I love you. Bye.
I've always gravitated towards art since I was a little tiny person. And when I finally got into elementary school, I was actually really good at drawing, and it was like the teacher held up one of my drawings and I was like, look at what you did. So ever since then, I've just kind of always thought, oh, I must be good at drawing. I should just keep taking art classes and keep pursuing that. So much of my work is inspired by human connection and finding your people and being in spaces where you don't have to explain identity or you don't have to explain yourself and just people understand where you're coming from. I hope people just can relate to the work. I think I do portraits as a way to try to humanize people whose identities kind of have been flattened in media a lot of the time. I think as people of color or Latinx and Asian American communities, we're seen as a lot of the time victims or martyrs or victimizers. I'm depicting sort of the legacy of immigrant struggle, but not in an overtly politicized way. There's not somebody holding a UFW flag, but let's say someone wearing an Abolish ICE t-shirt. Part of this exhibit is flower making workshops because real flowers weren't available in the Japanese American internment camps or Japanese prison camps because they're usually on desert, barren landscapes. So I use communal flower making as a way to create dialogue to call attention to that part of history, but also to call attention to the parallels with what the rhetoric is now surrounding politicians and people trying to get elected. And the immigrant detention centers that are still very much in practice now. My heritage, right, communal crafting. And so sharing that with people in a very intimate level and just sharing my own family history, but in a very non-threatening way of making paper flowers. And this was a horrible, traumatic event that occurred to my family. But art is very transformative as well, and it has the power to shift traumas and you can be inspired to create something really beautiful as well with that. So working with students has been really awesome to talk to them about the work, but also about history as well.
It was really it was so interesting. The whole flower thing, I didn't realize it was going to be an interactive moment. And so we came, we got to walk around the exhibit over there and talk to the artist. It was definitely interesting to hear her personal experiences about immigration. But I think what really stood out to me was when she was talking about what motivated her to do the flowers and how a lot of it was all of the news in the media during the pandemic talking about immigration and just how problematic a lot of the policies were during the Trump era. And so that made me, that was definitely really personal to me. I have my whole family immigrated here, so it's those policies directly affected people that we know and care a lot about. And so just thinking about that had me okay, this is a personal moment. But I think the biggest thing it's done for me it's validated a lot of things that I feel I knew deep down but I never knew how to verbalize. So I felt that's kind of the most powerful part.